A winter blackout isn't just inconvenient, it can turn deadly in hours. When the power cuts out and temperatures drop below freezing, your home becomes a survival zone. Here's the harsh truth. Most people have no backup heat source, and those who do often use equipment that's unsafe indoors. But here's the game changer. Dollar Tree sells 11 items that can literally save lives during a multi-day power outage. These aren't gimmicks or TikTok hacks, they're practical, physics-backed solutions to prevent hypothermia, stretch your heat sources, and keep your family alive. And the best part? You can grab all 11 for under $18. In this video, I'll show you exactly what to buy, how to use it, and why these items work when everything else fails. Don't wait until it's too late. Hit that subscribe button now so you're ready when winter strikes. 1. The fuel extender. You didn't know you needed petroleum jelly. Let's stop looking at petroleum jelly as just a skincare product for chapped lips. In a blackout scenario where the grid is down and the temperature inside your house is plummeting towards freezing, this $1.25 jar becomes one of the most dense, valuable fuel sources you can own. Most people walk right past this aisle in Dollar Tree, completely unaware that they are ignoring a critical chemical compound that is essentially solidified fuel. The physics here are straightforward. Petroleum jelly is a hydrocarbon. It doesn't just moisturize, it burns. But on its own, it's hard to ignite. It needs a wick. This is where it transforms from a bathroom staple into a survival necessity. When you combine this substance with a fibrous carrier, you aren't just making a fire starter. You are creating a slow-burning, wind-resistant fuel cell that defies damp conditions. Think about the standard matches or cheap lighters you likely have in your junk drawer. In a high-stress, cold-weather situation, dexterity drops. Fingers get numb, matches break or blow out. Lighters fail in the cold. A glob of petroleum jelly, however, does not care about the wind. When applied to tinder, it acts as an accelerant that extends the burn time of your initial spark significantly. We aren't talking about a flash in the pan, we are talking about sustaining a flame long enough to dry out wet wood or catch difficult coal. But its value goes beyond just fire. In a survival situation, your body is losing heat through evaporation and radiation. If the air in your home is dry and cold, your skin cracks. Cracked skin is an opening for infection. But more immediately, it is a breach in your body's insulation. Coating your hands, feet, and face with a thin layer of petroleum jelly creates an occlusive barrier. This seals moisture in and, crucially, creates a physical shield against windburn if you have to move effectively outdoors or in a drafty room. This is about thermal regulation. By slathering this on your feet before putting on socks, you reduce friction and trap a micro-layer of heat directly against the skin. It prevents the sweat-freeze cycle that leads to frostbite in toes. For $1.25, you are buying a multi-purpose chemical tool that acts as fuel for your fire and armor for your skin. It never expires, it doesn't degrade, it just sits there until you need it to save your life. Do not underestimate it. 2. The high-capacity ignition system, cotton balls. If you are relying on paper scraps or random twigs to start a fire during an emergency, you are planning to fail. Paper burns too fast, twigs require too much heat to catch. You need a dedicated ignition medium that is lightweight, compressible, and stupidly cheap. This is where the humble bag of 100% cotton balls from Dollar Tree stops being a cosmetic item and starts being a strategic asset. Let's break down the math of survival here. A bag of 100 cotton balls costs $1.25. That is effectively 100 individual fire attempts. In a blackout that spans 4 or 5 days, having a guaranteed flame source is the difference between eating a hot meal and shivering in the dark. But cotton alone is just the carrier. The magic happens when you modify it. This connects directly to the petroleum jelly mentioned earlier, but the cotton ball itself deserves the spotlight because of its surface area. A cotton ball is thousands of tiny fibers tangled together. When you pull one apart, you are exposing massive amounts of surface area to oxygen. This is why they take a spark so easily. A ferro rod, a dying lighter, or even a magnifying glass can ignite a fluffed cotton ball instantly. Now consider the Vaseline ball method. You take these cotton balls, work the petroleum jelly into the fibers, and store them in a Ziploc bag or an old pill bottle. You have now created a napalm-like substance that is safe to carry in your pocket. Unlike a liquid lighter fluid that can leak and evaporate, a treated cotton ball is stable. When you light it, it doesn't just poof and vanish, it burns steadily and aggressively for up to 5 minutes. 5 minutes is an eternity when you are trying to get a fire going. That is enough time to dry out damp kindling. It is enough time to boil a small cup of water if you hold it correctly. It is a sustained thermal event that you can carry in your pocket. Furthermore, in a medical emergency, which is statistically more likely during a power outage due to falls in the dark or accidents with tools, clean cotton balls are essential for wound care. You can use them to pack a wound, apply pressure, or clean debris. You can't do that with a commercial fire starter block. This dual-use capability, medical hygiene and fire ignition, makes the cotton ball an indispensable item in your blackout kit. Stop seeing them as bathroom fluff. Start seeing them as 100 chances to survive the night. 3. The biological heat trap, wool blend scarves. Let's talk about the biology of heat loss. Your body is a furnace, but it is a leaky one. You lose heat through radiation, conduction, convection, and evaporation. The neck is a thermal disaster zone for humans. It is a chimney. You have major arteries, the carotids, pumping massive amounts of blood right next to the surface of the skin, with very little fat or muscle to insulate them. If you leave your neck exposed in a freezing house, you are essentially radiator cooling your own blood supply before it reaches your brain. This is where the Dollar Tree wool blend scarf comes into play. Notice I said wool blend. You might turn your nose up at a scarf that isn't 100% merino wool, thinking it's cheap junk. You would be wrong. In a survival situation, good enough is the standard we aim for, especially when the price is $1.25. Even a low-percentage wool blend offers characteristics that pure synthetics or cotton cannot match. Cotton kills. That is the old survival adage. When cotton gets wet, from sweat, breath, or humidity, it loses its insulating value and actually sucks heat away from the body. Wool does the opposite. The structure of the wool fiber allows it to trap pockets of air even when it is damp. It is hydrophilic on the inside and hydrophobic on the outside. It can absorb moisture without feeling wet and continues to keep you warm. In a blackout, you are not just sitting still. You are moving, hauling wood, checking pipes, maybe stressing out. You will sweat. If you are wearing a cotton scarf, that sweat turns cold and clamps around your neck like ice. A wool blend scarf manages that moisture, but its utility isn't limited to your neck. This is a versatile piece of fabric. In a pinch, it wraps around your head as a balaclava. It can be folded to insulate a cold window ledge. It can serve as a pre-filter for water to remove large debris before boiling. It can be used as a sling for an injured arm. Most importantly, you need to wear this inside. The biggest mistake people make is thinking winter gear is only for outdoors. When the furnace dies, your living room is the outdoors. By keeping a scarf on 24/7 during a blackout, you are plugging that thermal leak at your neck. You are retaining the heat your body works so hard to generate. For the price of a candy bar, you are buying a critical layer of insulation that keeps your core temperature stable. Don't overlook the clothing aisle. It's just as important as the food aisle. 4. The respiratory heat exchanger, cotton bandanas. Most people look at a cotton bandana and see a fashion accessory or a cheap napkin. That is a mistake. In a survival context, particularly during a winter blackout where indoor temperatures are dropping rapidly, a $1.25 bandana is a critical piece of respiratory protection equipment. We need to address the physics of internal cooling. When you are in a freezing environment, your body works overtime to maintain a core temperature of 98.6 degrees. Every time you inhale, you are drawing freezing cold air directly into your core. Your body then has to burn precious calories to heat that air before it reaches your lungs. This is an invisible energy drain that accelerates hypothermia from the inside out. You can wear all the coats you want, but if you are breathing 20-degree air, you are cooling your blood with every breath. A bandana tied securely over your nose and mouth acts as a heat exchanger. It traps the warm, moist air you exhale. When you inhale the next breath, that air passes through the warmed fabric, preheating the incoming oxygen before it hits your bronchial tubes. This significantly reduces the metabolic load on your body. It is a simple, low-tech way to trick your body into retaining heat. But the utility doesn't stop at your face. The neck is a major chimney for heat loss. Hot air rises. If you are wearing a coat or layers of blankets but have a gap at your collar, warm air, which your body burned calories to produce, is escaping straight up and out. A bandana rolled tightly and tucked into your collar acts as a gasket. It seals that leak. It keeps the warm air trapped against your torso where it belongs. Let's talk about versatility, which is the gold standard for survival gear. A single-purpose item is a liability. A multi-purpose item is an asset. Bandanas are essentially raw material. In a medical emergency, they are triangular bandages for slings, pressure dressings for bleeds, or tourniquet windlasses. If you need water filtration, a bandana filters out the sediment and muck before you boil the water, saving your fuel and your stomach. You can buy a stack of these for the price of a fancy coffee. They store flat, they weigh nothing. If they get wet or dirty, you can wash and dry them easily, unlike heavy wool gear that takes hours to dry. During a blackout, hygiene standards drop, and having a stack of clean cloths to use as handkerchiefs, washcloths, or napkins helps prevent the spread of illness when the water isn't running. Do not underestimate the value of simple clean cotton. Stockpile them. 5. The extremity insulation system. Knee-high socks. Cold feet are not just an annoyance. They are a precursor to frostbite and a signal that your circulatory system is failing to keep up. When your core temperature drops, your body enters triage mode. It constricts blood vessels in your hands and feet to keep warm blood around your heart and lungs. This keeps you alive, but it puts your toes at risk. Standard ankle socks are insufficient for a blackout scenario. They leave a critical gap around the ankles and shins where blood vessels are close to the skin surface. This is why the knee-high socks from Dollar Tree are a superior survival investment. We are looking for coverage and layering capability here, not fashion. The physics of insulation rely on dead air space. Insulation works by trapping pockets of air that your body heat warms up. A single layer of sock is okay, but a dual-layer system is exponential. By wearing a thin liner sock, even a regular athletic sock, and pulling a Dollar Tree knee-high sock over it, you create a layer of trapped air between the two fabrics. This provides significantly more warmth than one thick sock alone. Furthermore, the knee-high length insulates the lower leg muscles. Keeping the calves warm helps maintain the temperature of the blood flowing down to the feet. If the blood arrives at your ankles already cold, your toes don't stand a chance. By insulating the supply line, your calf, you ensure warmer blood reaches the extremities. Let's address moisture management, the silent killer in cold weather survival. Your feet sweat even when you are cold. Wet socks conduct heat away from your skin 25 times faster than dry socks. If you sit in damp socks during a power outage, you are inviting trench foot and chilblains. You need to rotate your socks aggressively. Because these socks are only $1.25, you can afford to buy 10 pairs. This allows you to change your socks 3 times a day if necessary. You can have a pair drying near a candle heater or under your clothes while wearing a fresh, dry pair. This rotation system is impossible if you only own 2 pairs of expensive wool hiking socks. Quantity has a quality all its own in survival. Beyond feet, these long tubes of fabric are versatile. In a pinch, they become mittens that go all the way up to your elbows, protecting your wrists from exposure. They can be cut open to lag pipes that might freeze. They can be filled with warm rice or beans to create improvised heating pads for your sleeping bag. They are cheap, effective thermal sleeves. Buy them in bulk. 6. The modular layering solution. Baby receiving blankets. Walk past the automotive section, skip the candles for a moment, and head straight to the baby aisle. The flannel receiving blankets sold at Dollar Tree are one of the most overlooked survival textiles available. You might think, I'm an adult, I need a heavy wool blanket. Sure, a heavy wool blanket is great, but it's also heavy, hard to clean, and expensive. Receiving blankets offer a completely different tactical advantage: modularity. In a winter survival situation indoors, you are not static. You are moving around, cooking, fixing things, or checking on family. A heavy duvet is useless when you need to be mobile. Receiving blankets are lightweight, usually flannel or cotton blends, and designed to wrap around a human form securely. The primary use here is microclimate management. Heat loss from the head is significant. Not the 50% myth you hear, but enough to make you shiver. A receiving blanket is the perfect size to wrap around your head and neck, like a shemmer or a thick scarf. It seals the neck, covers the ears, and adds a layer of insulation to the head without the bulk of a full-sized blanket. For children and pets, these are lifesavers. A child's body has a high surface area to volume ratio, meaning they lose heat rapidly. Heavy adult blankets can be suffocating or too heavy for small children to move under. Receiving blankets can be layered. You can use 3 thin blankets to trap more heat than 1 medium blanket because of the air gaps between the layers. This is the same principle as double-pane windows. Let's talk about drying time. In a damp, cold house without electricity, Drying a soaking wet king-sized comforter is impossible. It will mildew before it dries. A thin receiving blanket, however, can be hand-washed and air-dried on a line in a few hours. Hygiene control is critical when the plumbing is frozen. Being able to wash your bedding ensures you aren't sleeping in sweat and bacteria. They are also excellent for spot insulation. If you are sitting in a chair, you can wrap one around your kidneys, a major heat loss area, under your jacket. You can wrap them around your knees. You can use them to plug drafts under doors or stuff them into broken windows. At $1, $25 a piece, you can buy a dozen. That gives you 12 layers of insulation to deploy however you see fit. You can stitch them together to make a larger quilt, or keep them separate for individual family members. They are soft, they are warm, and they allow for flexible adaptive thermal regulation that a single heavy sleeping bag simply cannot provide. Don't let the pastel colors fool you. This is serious survival gear. 7. The heavy-duty thermal gasket, cotton dish towels. If you are looking at the kitchen aisle and skipping the dish towels because you think, I have paper towels at home, you are missing a critical survival resource. In a grid-down winter scenario, a dense 100% cotton terry cloth dish towel is not a cleaning accessory. It is a thermal gasket, a safety tool, and a raw insulation material that outperforms almost any other fabric, dollar for dollar. Let's talk about the specific weave of these towels. Unlike a smooth t-shirt or a thin bandana, a dish towel is usually terry cloth. It has thousands of tiny loops of thread standing up from the base fabric. In the kitchen, those loops absorb water. In a survival situation, those loops trap dead air. That texture creates a boundary layer of insulation that is significantly more effective than flat woven cotton. The primary application here is draft mitigation. Houses breathe, and in winter they breathe in cold air and exhale your precious heat. The gaps under your doors and around your windowsills are the enemy. A single dish towel, rolled tightly into a snake, becomes a dense, heavy draft blocker that stays in place. Because the fabric is thick, it conforms to the irregularities of the floor or the door frame, creating a seal that stops the convective current of freezing air from sweeping across your floor. But the most critical use might be infrastructure protection. When the power goes out, your pipes are time bombs. If a pipe freezes and bursts, you are no longer just cold. You are wet, your home is flooded, and you are facing a structural catastrophe in freezing temperatures. Wrapping vulnerable pipes, especially those under sinks or near outer walls, with dish towels provides a layer of insulation that can delay freezing. You wrap it tight and secure it with duct tape or cordage. That $1.25 towel could save you $10,000 in water damage and keep your shelter habitable. Furthermore, we have to discuss safety around improvised heat. If you are using candle heaters, boiling water on a camping stove indoors, or moving hot rocks, burn risks are high. You cannot afford a second-degree burn when the roads are iced over and emergency services are overwhelmed. Synthetic gloves melt, thin rags transfer heat instantly. A folded cotton dish towel is a reliable, heat-resistant pot holder that gives you the grip and thermal protection you need to handle hot equipment safely. Finally, consider personal wear. In a pinch, a dish towel wraps around the neck just like a scarf. Because it is thicker and more absorbent, it manages the sweat and humidity around your collar better than thinner fabrics. It seals the gap between your jacket and your skin, preventing the chimney effect from sucking your body heat out into the room. Stockpile these. They are durable, washable, and absolutely essential for sealing your home against the cold. 8. The industrial-grade micro-insulator craft felt sheets. Walk over to the craft aisle. You will see packs of colorful felt sheets intended for kids' art projects. Ignore the bright colors and look at the material itself. This is non-woven, compressed fiber. It is essentially the synthetic equivalent of heavy wool felt, and in a survival situation, it is one of the most versatile insulating materials you can buy for $1. The physics of felt make it unique. Because it isn't woven with a warp and weft like normal fabric, it doesn't unravel when you cut it. It is a solid mat of fibers that traps air incredibly efficiently. This density makes it an exceptional barrier against conductive heat loss, the kind of heat loss that happens when you touch something cold. The #1 hack for felt sheets during a blackout is footwear modification. Your feet are your contact point with the cold ground. Most cheap boots or sneakers have thin rubber soles that conduct cold right into your bones. You can take a sheet of Dollar Tree felt, trace the outline of your shoe sole, cut it out, and slide it inside your boot. You have just added a high-performance thermal insole for pennies. If it gets wet with sweat, you take it out, dry it, and put it back. Or because they are so cheap, you throw it away and cut a new one. Keeping your feet insulated from the ground is critical for maintaining core temperature. Beyond your feet, felt is the ultimate gap filler. We talked about towels for big drafts, but felt is for the surgical strikes. Window panes are massive heat leaks. Glass is a terrible insulator. By taping felt sheets directly over the glass, or even just the corners where ice tends to form, you create a thermal break. It reduces the radiant cold you feel when standing near a window. Additionally, you can cut felt into strips to jam into the cracks of drafty window sashes where a towel is too bulky to fit. It compresses, fills the void, and expands to create a seal. It acts like weather stripping that you can customize on the fly. Let's not overlook its use as a soft-touch insulator. If you are sitting on a metal folding chair or a cold wooden bench, that surface is stealing your heat. A few sheets of felt placed on the seat reflect that heat back to you. It seems like a small thing, but survival is a game of inches. Every calorie of heat you preserve is a calorie your body doesn't have to burn. Felt provides a durable, customizable layer of protection that you can glue, tape, or sew into almost any configuration you need. It's not just for arts and crafts, it's raw engineering material for your microenvironment. 9. The structural cold barrier, cardboard and poster board. You might think it's cheating to list cardboard since you can find it in the dumpster, but Dollar Tree sells clean, rigid poster board and foam board that is vital when you need consistent, dry insulation immediately. However, even the boxes that Dollar Tree products come in, which they will often give you for free if you ask, are worth their weight in gold during a freeze. We need to talk about conduction again because it is the fastest way to die from exposure in an indoor setting. If the power is out, the floor is going to be the same temperature as the crawl space or the concrete slab, potentially freezing. If you put your sleeping bag directly on that floor, your body weight compresses the loft of the bag. With the insulation crushed, you are essentially sleeping on a block of ice. The cold will suck the life out of you, preventing deep sleep and lowering your immune response. Cardboard is the solution. Corrugated cardboard is an engineering marvel. It consists of 2 flat sheets with a fluted sheet in the middle. That fluting creates long tunnels of trapped air. Air is a terrible conductor of heat, which makes it a great insulator. By laying down a platform of cardboard boxes or poster board on the floor, you create a thermal break. You are building a survival subfloor. You should aim for at least 2 or 3 layers of cardboard beneath your sleeping area. This separates your body from the thermal mass of the building. It is the difference between waking up shivering at 3 a.m. and getting a decent night's rest. This is a tactic used by homeless populations for decades because it works. It is physics-based survival, but cardboard and poster board have uses beyond flooring. You can use them to minimize the volume of air you need to heat. If you are huddled in a small room, but the room has high ceilings or an open doorway, your body heat is dissipating into empty space. You can use poster board and duct tape to build baffles or temporary walls to shrink the room. You can tape it over windows to create a blackout curtain that also adds a layer of air insulation against the glass. Furthermore, you can use poster board, specifically the white or metallic kinds, as heat reflectors. If you have a small heat source like a candle or a lantern, placing a curved piece of white poster board behind it will reflect the light and a small amount of radiant heat back toward you, rather than letting it be absorbed by the wall behind it. It turns an omnidirectional light and heat source into a focused one. In a true emergency, cardboard is your construction material. It allows you to modify your environment to suit your survival needs. It blocks drafts, it insulates floors, and it costs next to nothing. Do not throw away boxes when you are stocking up. Break them down, slide them under a bed, and keep them ready. When the furnace dies, that trash becomes your floor. 10. The radiant heat multiplier, aluminum foil. Stop thinking of aluminum foil as just a kitchen wrap for your leftovers. In a winter power outage, a $1.25 roll of foil from Dollar Tree is a high-tech survival tool designed to manipulate thermal radiation. Your goal is no longer to prevent food from drying out. It is to prevent your body heat from escaping into the void. Let's focus on the physics. Heat moves in 3 ways: conduction, touch, convection, air movement, and radiation, infrared waves. A standard emergency blanket is just a thin sheet of plastic coated with a reflective layer, and it works by blocking radiant heat loss. aluminum foil does the exact same thing. It is a highly effective, radiant barrier that reflects about 95% of the thermal energy that hits it. The most critical application is to turn your small heat sources into directional furnaces. If you have a candle burning or a small alcohol stove, it is radiating heat in all directions, 360 degrees. That means at least half of its energy is being wasted heating the wall behind it. You can't afford that inefficiency. By creating a curved backstop with aluminum foil and placing it behind your heat source, you capture that lost radiant heat and reflect it back into the room, towards your body. You are effectively doubling the output of your heat source without burning any extra fuel. This is a massive force multiplier for your limited resources. Next, we insulate our windows. Glass is a thermal sinkhole. It allows your precious interior heat to radiate straight outside into the freezing air. Taping aluminum foil directly to the window pane, shiny side facing in, creates a powerful barrier. It reflects the radiant heat from your body, your candles, and your activities back into the room. This single action can significantly slow the cooling of a room, making your shelter more livable and reducing the fuel you need to burn to stay warm. Finally, we apply this directly to the body. If your feet are cold, wrapping them in foil over your socks creates a personal radiant barrier and a vapor barrier. The foil reflects your foot's own heat back onto itself while also stopping heat loss from sweat evaporation. This is not a long-term solution as it can trap too much moisture, but for a few hours while sitting still or trying to sleep, it can be the difference between numb toes and functional feet. You can line your gloves, hats, and even the inside of your jacket with it. A roll of aluminum foil is essentially a roll of customizable emergency blanket material. It's lightweight, cheap, and based on hard science. Do not overlook it. 11. The on-demand chemical furnace, disposable hand warmers. When the power is out and you are facing a multi-day deep freeze, you cannot always rely on fire or passive insulation. You need a reliable, portable, and foolproof source of heat that requires zero effort. This is where disposable hand warmers from Dollar Tree become one of the most valuable items in your entire blackout kit. For just over $1, you are buying a guaranteed 8 hours of consistent, safe heat. Let's break down what these are. A permeable pouch filled with iron powder, salt, activated charcoal, and vermiculite. When you open the plastic wrapper, oxygen from the air enters the pouch and initiates a rapid oxidation process with the iron powder. It's controlled, accelerated rusting. This exothermic chemical reaction produces steady heat, typically between 135 and 158 degrees Fahrenheit, for hours on end. There is no flame, no carbon monoxide risk when used as directed, and no skill required. You open the pack, shake it, and it works, every single time. Their primary function is to prevent loss of dexterity. In a cold environment, your fingers are the first thing to become useless. Blood flow is restricted, and they become numb and clumsy. This is dangerous when you need to handle tools, administer first aid, or even just zip up a jacket. Placing a hand warmer inside each glove or pocket provides a constant source of conductive heat that keeps your hands and fingers functional. This isn't about comfort, it's about maintaining capability. But the strategic use goes far beyond your hands. Your core temperature drops when you sleep. Tossing 1 or 2 of these warmers into the bottom of your sleeping bag creates a micro-furnace that can last most of the night. This external heat source means your body doesn't have to burn as many of its own calories to stay warm, allowing you to get a deeper, more restorative rest. This is especially critical for children, the elderly, or anyone who is sick, as their bodies struggle more to self-regulate temperature. Think of them as targeted heat. If someone has cold feet, you can tape a warmer to the outside of their socks. If someone is shivering uncontrollably, placing a warmer on their lower back or chest can help stabilize their core temperature. Because they are cheap, you can stock up on dozens of them. They have a multi-year shelf life, so you can buy them now and have them ready. When your other heating methods fail, when you run out of fuel, or when you simply need a guaranteed source of warmth without any risk or effort, this simple chemical pouch becomes your personal, on-demand furnace.